Okay, so today I am going to be unboxing my Bauer brushless reciprocating saw. So apparently these new brushless motors are so much better than the previous ones. I had been waiting to buy a reciprocating saw because I had heard that they were going to be coming out with a brushless version. I do have two of the drills that are the non-brushless, so I'll be replacing that eventually as well. And then I also have a grinder that is a non-brushless, so that'll get replaced also. 50% longer runtime, so that's definitely cool. Today I'm just making a few cuts. This trailer has a couple surrounds on the rear taillights to protect them in case you like back into something, and I loan this out from time to time. Things happen, and apparently one of the taillights got backed into something. It protected the taillight, but it did bend that surround, and it bent it pretty bad. So I'm gonna cut them off, I'm gonna weld new ones on, and we're gonna use this to cut it off. Also picked up some blades as well. We've got some wood blades, thick metal blades, and then we also have a general purpose blade that you can do wood, metal, so on. So today, since it's just gonna be metal, we're gonna use one of the metal cutting blades. So let's go ahead and get this opened up. So on here, first off, it shows you does not come with batteries, doesn't come with a charger. They do offer a few different versions. The 1.5 amp is what you're gonna typically find when you buy a standard drill. I think the brushless ones, I believe I saw that you can buy those without a battery and a charger now, because they're assuming people like myself already have bought chargers and batteries because we have the old drill. But depending what you buy, it may come with one of these 1.5 amp hour batteries included. That's not something I really recommend for using this big of an item. It uses a lot of juice. Definitely you're gonna want a 3 amp, or just step it up right away and get the 5. I have a few of the 3 amp hour batteries because I got those a long time ago. Now they come out with a 5 amp, so I have several of those, and that's what we're gonna be using today. So let's open this up. So inside, looks like we've got some instructions and reciprocating saw. And that is all that comes in this box. Okay. So, looks like pretty easy to use, ergonomic. Here on the side, that's gonna be for inserting the blade and unlocking it. Button here as for the guard. So you can adjust the height of the guard by pressing that button in, and that's gonna change that guard for you. So pretty cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull out one of the blades. I already cut this to make it easier. And I like to just put a little slice on there, and that way I can keep my blades stored in here so they're neatly organized. Don't have to buy one of those storage things for them. So anytime you're gonna be inserting a blade, same thing goes for a grinder as well. Always have the battery off, or if it's a plug-in item, always have it unplugged. So on here, we are going to pull this flap open, drop the blade in. It's gonna lock into place. You also, depending on how you're cutting, you could put it the other way as well. It'll lock into place like that too. But in our case today, we're just gonna do the standard way. Put it just like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and throw a battery on there. So this one is a 5 amp hour battery. And give it a little test run. That's gonna work. This guy's got a little lock on the side here too for safety. You can lock it, and I wonder if you can lock it with it running. Nope, does not let you lock it with it running. So that's probably good for safety anyways. So let's go ahead and cut off that taillight housing. So here's that taillight housing. You can see it has seen better days. And it did a pretty good job of protecting the light. The light actually still works, but it did push up in there pretty good, and it ended up cracking the housing. So I've got a new light to put on there as well, but if that wasn't there, this light would be gone. So it was definitely good that it was there. So let's go ahead and cut it off. Okay, so let's see what the best way to cut this off is. I can't actually get the tail light off yet. I did try to undo it, but this is pretty bent up. May be able to pry it, but I think I'm just gonna cut it and then I'll take the tail light off. And if I mess up this tail light, it's okay because I'm replacing it anyways. Safety wise, definitely wanna wear some safety glasses. Okay. So let's get to cutting. Let's see here. Should I go at it this way? This is gonna be a little easier. I'm gonna change this guard a little, get a little more length on the blade. And then I can always clean this cut up afterwards it looks like it actually bent the metal up a little bit, so I'm going to cut it off as close as I can to the tail light, and then pull the rest of this guard off and then bend it back into place. So here we go. Well, that taillight does not like this blade burning right by it. Let's see here. We may have to come at this at a different angle because it's bending the heck out of my blade here. So that's a good thing we got multiple blades. Okay, yeah. That looks hot. I'm gonna try to keep using it though. And then we'll go with a different blade afterwards. I think I'll replace the blade, otherwise I'm gonna be at this all day. I have destroyed that blade. Okay, let's replace it, but definitely don't touch that blade because that is hot. Okay, got a new blade. Pull the battery off. Get this old blade out. New one in. Battery back on. All right, let's see if it goes a little better now. You know, I think before I start cutting it, I'm gonna try to open that hole up a little bit. So let's grab a hammer. Also have a pry bar. That would work too. There goes a little bit. Okay, that gives us some more clearance. Now let's try this again. Fresh blade, cut right through it. So I think now what I'm gonna do is bend that taillight housing out of the way so I can pull the taillight out and have a little more room in here. So let's give that a shot. So I think in this case, I may actually reverse the blade and go up with it. See how that works. I think that's gonna be the way to go. All right. And it doesn't have to be perfect. We'll grind it out after. There we we go. And as you can see, it works much better on that top cut. So now what we'll do, I'm gonna hammer this metal back down because it looks like it kind of actually pulled it up a little bit. And then I'll pull out maybe a grinding disc, a flap disc, get this all ground down and smoothed out. So that way I can weld on the new buckets. Then once those are welded on, we'll bolt on the new tail light and then wire it up. Okay, let's get a couple of these things out of the way. So I do think that I'm gonna lop off this little piece down here, because when I put this on here, it's gonna sit about there. That is hanging down a little bit, and I don't want someone to ever touch that and, you know, cut their hand or something. It doesn't need to be there. So let's go ahead and cut that piece off. So let's go ahead and flip the blade. And I could use my grinder with a cutoff wheel, but we got this new fancy tool. Let's give this a shot, see if we make a clean cut. Otherwise, we'll just do it with a grinder. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay, so now let's clean this up with a grinder. So I have a flap disc on here for metal, 60 grit. We'll see how this goes. May need to throw an actual grinding wheel on it. Yeah, definitely a grinding wheel would make much quicker work of this. I don't think I have one here. I think my grinding wheel is at the shop. So we're gonna use this. It's just gonna take a little bit of time. So maybe we'll speed it up for you. Flattened out up here on the top. Took a little bit of time using a flap disc, but got it to work, got it cleaned up to be able to weld. So this is gonna go on here like that. Funny thing is, I'm assuming this space is for license plate light on your taillight. But there's two of these. One has it, one doesn't. If I wanted to put this on the driver's side, which is typically where I've seen the license plates on a lot of the trailers I've owned. This one, it's in the center, it doesn't hang down. So I'm not gonna even need to use that. You wouldn't be able to use it because how it's rotated, if you put this on the other side, so you could actually see the light, that would be facing up. What I do need though, is that actually be facing out, because these lights have a little marker light on the end. So I think what I'll do, it's got a little LED in the middle. So I think what I'll do is I'll weld these on, and then I'll just take probably just a big hole saw and just kind of measure out where that light is and just put just a good hole right here in the middle. And that'll be enough to be able to see the light through it. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. This one we'll put on this side, so that way that hole faces down, you don't see it. This one will go on the other side like this on the other side. So now I just get to basically do this whole process on the other side and then get to welding everything on. Okay, well, let's move on to the other side. So on this side, this taillight's in a lot better shape. It has had a little bit of bending to the taillight kind of protective siding there. And as you can see, like I was talking on the other side, it's got kind of a cutout here, so that way you can actually see the light. That does kind of weaken this up though. So instead of doing a whole cutout like that, which I could, I'm just gonna drill a hole right here in the middle. And just a big hole, so that way you'll be able to see it, but it'll have metal on both sides. Might be a little more structurally sound. This does have a little bit of a crack in it on that side there. Probably when this bent in, you can see it hit it right there and cracked it. But again, without that metal housing, this would have just been destroyed and been gone. So since we do have a replacement one of these two, even though this one's not super bad, I'm gonna cut this one off too. I don't even think I'll keep this as a spare. So I think that'll just get junked. This light though is not bad. It still works perfectly fine, has a small little crack. So I'll keep it as a spare just because it does work on either side. And I'll just use this just kind of emergency if I don't have time to get a light. However, these lights are so easy to get. I mean, one, you can buy them online, get them for a great value, but you can go to any part store and you're gonna be able to find one of these lights. That's the great part about having these. So let's go ahead and cut this one off. Little cleaner cut, so it won't be as bad to clean it up. I was gonna do it with the reciprocating saw, and I didn't have the best angle to cut it off, so I decided, hey, I got this out already, might as well use it. So used my Bauer. This one is not the brushless, and the downside of this one, if you really get hammered on something for a little bit and it starts heating up, it shuts off. So I'm hoping that the brushless version of this has a little more power and it doesn't like shut itself off, basically, overwork itself. And then you have to pull it back down, hit it again, and go at it again. So that's what I'm hoping is the brushless one doesn't do that. I haven't bought it yet because I have a really nice corded grinder that is fantastic. That thing will cut through anything, it never stops. But it's not portable, that's the only downfall. So it's nice having a portable grinder, and usually the portable stuff I do is not heavy duty grinding, so it hasn't been that much of an issue, but it is annoying. So maybe if there's a sale that goes on, I'll get the brushless one. But okay, so let's swap out the cutoff wheel and put back on the flap disc. The one nice thing though about using the flap disc is you take off material really slowly. So I don't have to worry about taking off too much material like I would with an actual grinding disc. And it makes a nice finish too. Okay. I did accidentally nick this here, but part of me kind of wanted to cut this whole thing off anyways, because I don't know if I trust these current connectors on there. So now that I nicked it right there, I mean, I suppose I could just throw some heat shrink on there and make do, and that'd be fine because it just barely nicked it. But I may just lop them off here and then put some connectors on. So, okay, let's go ahead and clean this up. Finally, after switching to another battery, got this ground down and cleaned up. So if I put this on here, I'm not gonna be able to really weld up top. I mean, maybe you could try to go through here, but again, this isn't a super structural piece. This is just giving a little bit of protection to the light. So there's gonna be plenty to weld on the inside here. So since I'm not gonna be able to get to that to paint it once this is on there, I'm gonna go ahead and just tape this off and paint just that upper part right there, so that way it doesn't rust. So let's put a little tape across there. So I scored it where it's going to be welded. So I'm going to go just a little bit above that, put a little tape down. Okay. And I think I might do the same thing on the bottom. No, I can get to that from underneath. So I'll just throw a little paint up here on the top. This is kind of just my go-to Rust Tough semi-flat enamel. Matches the trailer pretty well. I use this on some of my Jeeps as well. Okay. Okay, I think that's good. we still got nice clean metal there to weld to. And then once we weld that on, we will then paint the inside here, give it a shot from underneath, and then paint this whole thing as well. And then when that's dry, that'll have to be another video, we will put the tail lights on. Or you know what? It'll be another day, but I will probably just call it quits today once I get them welded on. If I have time, I'll paint them. It's not supposed to rain tomorrow, so it's not gonna be that big of a deal if I don't get them painted today. But I got a Jeep meeting I gotta go to at 7 o'clock, so I won't have time to paint it, let it dry, and install the taillights tonight. So what I will do is get these welded on, if there's time, get them painted, and then another day do the wiring. Wiring's super easy. I did nick this right here, but I was already thinking about cutting it off because I don't like to do connectors and then connectors again. There's enough slack here that I can cut it off there, and then I can put some connectors right there. And the new taillights have plenty of wire, so don't really have to worry about reusing these existing connections and then having new connections next to them. I've also thought about too, just in case someone ends up smashing these again, maybe just putting some quick disconnects on them. And so that way I can just throw some new taillights on there without having to do anything with the wiring on this side. So that's a thought too. We'll see what I end up doing. Got the new tail light, I don't know what you call them, protection holder cover thingies, welded on there and painted. So that will work. Got it on both sides. There we go. Next up is let that dry, throw the new tail lights in. She's ready to go again. So as you can see, I got the lights in place. What I did do before I bolted the lights on is here on the side, if you noticed when we welded on these brackets, it didn't have a hole in the side of this one like the old ones. So you wouldn't be able to see the trailer from the side at night here at the rear because the next marker light is in front of the tires. So I used a hole saw, drilled a hole in the side there. Now you can see the reflector and you can see the LED, and then got the light mounted up. When I went to mount the light though, I noticed on the back these two little tracks that you can slide the light back and forth on to bolt it in. They actually didn't go far enough in. So what I had to do right here was I ended up drilling a hole for this stud to come through because I couldn't place the light far enough to the left because it would hit here. So I drilled a hole there. There was no hole here for the wires to come through. So I drilled a hole there as well. Got all new wiring hooked up here. Got it all soldered in, so it's a really, really good electrical connection. And you can see here, much better. So you got brake light, running light, and then turn signal is gonna be the same thing as the brake light when it flashes bright. And then over here on the other side, got that one on as well. This one actually does have, you can see a little light on the bottom. This one's made to have a license plate underneath it, but obviously there's no license plate, so, and there's not even a hole there for the license plate light to go through because the plate's in the middle. But they're all fixed, super excited. They're nice and bright, and project complete. Now this trailer's ready to go do another trip. I think the next trip it's going on, I wanna say, is going to Sand Hollow. I forgot to give some specs on this trailer. So this is a 2019 Texas Pride bumper pull. It is a triple axle. It has 3 8,000-pound rated axles. The tires are super heavy duty. I think they're 14 ply, 110 PSI a piece. And it's rated for a total of 24,000 pounds. Has 2 heavy-duty jacks on the front. Built here in the United States. I mean, that has to be the thickest frame I've ever seen on a bumper pull. Thing tows absolutely amazing. And then a year or two ago, we welded a little bit of extra angle iron up here inside. You can kind of see it welded in there. And so what that did was reinforce the edges, because this isn't technically a drive over fender, but when I drive my Jeep on and a few of my friends' Jeeps, we're actually just slightly wider than the deck. And so you have to drive up on top of those fenders to get it up to the front. And then our tires basically hang on this rail here. But that's the trailer. 2019 Texas Pride, triple axle, triple brakes. All the lights are working again good. It's ready to get some Jeeps towed around. Got the new setup on here. All lights working. You can see the turn signal on this side, turn signal on the other. And I drilled those holes in the side so you have that side marker as well. So that's gonna make it a lot more visible when it's trailering down the road. See on this side, drilled that side in there so that you can see it from the side. So pretty happy with the result of the project.